and good afternoon to the Coronarites and the Greyliners. Tuning in to 160 metres this afternoon for these test missions in the narrowband FM mode. We've been been busy at the coalface today, and we're back doing this. It's good to be here. I have to say, it's got me thinking, because I've gone through about 3 different programs today and I've sort of abandoned them all. And it's good to sort of be in that space where music is starting to assume, well, a different purpose. So I think we'll start with, excuse me for a moment, I'll just have to untether myself. It's a spider's web in here. There's just cables everywhere and they wrap themselves around my legs and they drag me under. I get sort of dragged into the system, into the desk here, and it's quite scary, really. All right, look, I'll just fade that. And we'll, as per usual, start with a Vita Tonic. We'll have a Vitaphone associated record from the 1930s. This instance is another from that Green Brothers Novelty Orchestra. And what's it called? I'm looking for the Silver Lining. This says deleted all over this label. Cancelled, deleted, struck off. And of course that's a red rag to a bull. I'm keen to hear what they're worried about. Maybe nothing. Anyhow, let's give it a whirl. vk3sl, testing. Quite droll, isn't it? I think that's why the record was deleted. Never mind, it's all testing, of course. It's nothing else. It's just a question of sampling the collection here, and much of it has never been played, or not in my time, and it's one of those serendipitous collections where things have just morphed and grown and amounted. And yeah, well, it's just a process of chipping in, discovering things, and well, testing them out. Fundamentally, that's what it's all about. So yeah, next though is something it is test material, but it fulfills a different need. In the last few days, we've been listening to recordings of Mozart's Jupiter Symphony, his Symphony number 41, and it's his magnum opus, one of the greatest works in the whole literature, really. And I'm sort of biased, but yeah, it is. So I thought I'd sort of sample different interpretations of that famous last movement with those remarkable 4-voice fugue or 5-voice fugue, depending how you look at it. And it's just such amazing music. And I think it's fun to sort of hear it in different guises, different conductors and their takes on the work. So tonight we've got another one lined up. This is a very famous interpretation with Otto Klemperer, made in 1954. And he was a remarkable Mozart interpreter. He was had a great sort of sense of musical architecture, did Mr. Klemperer. So the voicings are very clearly defined, but at the same time he honours the emotional and obsessional nature of Mr. M. He brings it out. It's a very personal interpretation and a very great one. So I reckon we'll give this a go, and we'll see how things work with this white upload. I need to switch that on. I need to advance the mouseicle, and then we're right. Finale, molto allegro from Mozart's Symphony Number 41. I'm vk3sl. Testing. Mozart. Mozart, unrelenting Mozart. It's obsessional, it's emotional, it's pure, but above all, it's naked Mozart. He's there at full glory. Incredible. Yay. And that was it was a great performance, a renowned performance with Otto Klemperer in 1954 with the Philharmonic Orchestra. It's one from the vaults, and it's a symphony that just needs to be played over and over, and it lives as a life force. Mozart's not dead. Absolutely not. When you hear music like that, it's for eternity, I think. There we go. Can't find adjectives. It's fantastic. Well, we'll have to listen to more. There's a lot more out there. The recording's going back to about 1909. I don't know how the counterpoint would survive on an early acoustic record, but yeah, it's good stuff. Alrighty, well, we'll keep going. We'll play some more Mozart, I think. Another Mozart evening. I'm sort of going through a bit of a Mozart phase at the moment. We hear a lot of his piano concertos around the house, and but I've just forgotten how great these late symphonies are. They're amazing. And that movement, oh man, it's sort of music that just lives with you. So many times today, and I've been sort of overwhelmed, and that theme just emerges, and it's like a sanctifying force. There we go. Waxing lyrical about Mozart. What have we got? A tape. I've got a tape on the Q-Master 77. It's a tape of Mozart arias in English, and this is one from the collection of Mr. F. And this features the bass Owen Brannigan. But what makes this recording interesting is that it's that all the arias are in English, so you can hear what they're singing about. And it's with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra and with Walter Susskind. So we'll see how it goes. An old tape from the 50s. Now, Mr. Brannigan was quite an interesting artist. He had a lot to do with Benjamin Britten. In fact, he was sort of renowned as a Britten interpreter and recorded the Taming of the Shrew and other operas of Benjamin Britten, and had a strong... he was in demand in the years just after the Second World War. And but it's going to be interesting. He was born about 1909, 1910, I think. So that gives a little bit of a timeline. Mr. Brannigan at the helm. So let's have a listen. Mozart arias. I won't try and identify them all. There's too many. Anyhow, I think we're queued up and ready. Queued up on the Q-Master. This is vk3sl testing. And it won't work. Oh, I'm not pushing the play button. Too overwhelmed. vk3sl, take 2.
Now for vengeance. Oh, now for vengeance. Every man of sense enjoys it. Every man of sense enjoys it. What? Forget so deadly an outrage. Forget so deadly an outrage. I'm no coward to stoop so low. I'm no coward to stoop so low. To stoop so low. I'll denounce him. I'll confound him. I'll get round him. I'll be even. I'll be even. I'll denounce him. I'll confound him. I'm a lawyer. I'll get round him. I'll denounce him. I'll confound him. I'm a lawyer. I'll get round him. I swear I will, ma'am. Swear, ma'am. Swear I will, ma'am. I'm no fool. The man shall know. I'm no fool, the man shall know. Once I can seize on the right opportunity, I cannot let him get off with impunity. I'm embarrassing, worrying, embarrassing, that is the use of a knowledge of law. Once I can seize on the right opportunity, I cannot let him get off with impunity. I will embarrass him, worry him, harass him, that is the use of a knowledge of law. I know the law, man. something old Seville knows me. I'm got a Bartolo, and I'll make Figaro learn something more. Yes, I'll make Figaro learn something more. Yes, I'll make Figaro learn something more. Learn something more. Learn something more. Yes, something more. by friendship's kindly hand held fast, he finds the land of light at last, the land of light at last. He reached to every other by mutual love is bound, where every wrong finds pardon, no traitor e'er is found. Those whom this bond cannot unite are all unworthy of the light. Those whom this bond cannot unite are all unworthy of the light. Those whom this bond cannot unite are all unworthy of the light, The hungry man who dines in state and never dares to fill his plate will never make his fortune. Oh, what a fool! Oh, what a fool! I always say. Oh, what a fool! Oh, what a fool! I always say. We mock him in derision, ha 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 ha, and fairly burst with laughter, ho 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 ho. And fairly
This is a
burst
test
with
transmission
laughter,
from vk3sl.
The man who shivers in the cold when by the fire was warmth untold will never make his fortune. Oh, what a fool! Oh, what a fool! I always say. Oh, what a fool! Oh, what a fool! I always say. We mock him in derision, ha? And fairly burst with laughter, ho? Ah, ha, ha, ah, ha, ha, ah, ha, ha, ah, ha, ha, The man who heaves a mournful sigh for waters long since passed him by will never make his fortune. Oh, what a fool! Oh, what a silly, stupid fool! Oh, what a fool! Oh, what a silly, stupid fool! We mock him in derision, ha! Yes, in derision, ha! We mock him in derision, and fairly burst with laughter, and fairly burst with love. Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Ha 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 ha! Oh, what a fool! Oh, what a fool! I always say, the hungry man who dines in state and never dares to fill his plate, the man who shivers in the cold when by the fire does warmth untold, the man who heaves a mournful sigh for what is long since past in pine. He is a fool. He is a fool, I always say. A stupid, foolish creature, ha, ha, a timid, stupid, foolish creature, ha, 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 ha. He is a fool, he is a fool, I always say. He is a fool, he is a fool, I always say. I always say, I always say. One moment. Look at this little book here. It is a list of the ladies who have loved him. Every village, every city, yes, every land, its witness can bear to dunk upon these conquests. Pray allow me, let me draw your attention to this long list of names and addresses, a complete list on all his adventures. Take a seat, ma'am, and read it with me. Here you are, ma'am, come read it with me. Here is Italy 640. Next comes Germany, more than 200. France and Turkey have each over 90. Oh, but in Spain, oh, but in Spain, 1,003. 1,003. 1,003. Here are country girls in plenty, ladies, maids, and would-be ladies, or nobility and gentry. This for royalty, the pages, handsome, humble, high and noble, all our women know for him, all our women know for him. Here is Italy, 640. Next comes Germany, with more than 200. France and Turkey have each over 90. Oh, 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 but in Spain, oh, but in Spain, 1,003. 1,003. Here are country girls in plenty, ladies, maids, and would-be ladies, no nobility and gentry, this for royalty, the pages, and some lovely, high and humble, all our women know for him, all our women for him, all our women, all for him. When he courts one, carefully choosing words appropriate tiny when she's tiny, when she's tiny, 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 tiny. He calls her fair, he calls her fair, he calls her fair. Even the elderly, those between two ages, he'll find room for in these pure pages. But his favorite form of sinning is with one who's just beginning. Otherwise, it never matters who she is or what's her name. It never matters, never, never matters. She a female. Don Giovanni plays his game. Don Giovanni plays his game. She'll only be a female. Don Giovanni plays his game. Don Giovanni plays his game. When a maiden takes your fancy and you want her for your own, be a hero in your wooing, always kissing, always cooing, never leave the girl alone, never leave the girl.
Yes, and I have a story to tell about this break in transmission. I just had a phone call from Mr. F, who was the previous owner of this tape, and he told me that he accidentally pushed record instead of playing on this particular tape many decades ago. So there we go. That's the reason why we had a dropout, and the dead air alarm went off, and the fire brigade have arrived. vk3sl.
Charming creature has a restless rolling nature, far too fond of liberty, far too fond of liberty,
This is a test transmission of vk3sl.
When the nights are warm and shiny, then beware of evil men. If you're not at home to mind her, and some flighty fop should find her, where's your charming creature then? Where's your charming eyes with laughter. Now at last we'll have some peace. Now at last we'll have some peace. Oh, my pretty brace of fellows, soon you'll swing upon the gallows like a pair of silly geese, silly geese, like a pair of silly geese, silly geese. Soft as mice you came a-creeping when you thought we all were sleeping, but the cat was wide awake. In his clutches he has caught you, and already he has taught you that you made your big mistake. Yes, you made a big mistake. Soft as mice you came a-creeping when you thought we all were sleeping, but the cat was wide awake, was wide awake, was wide awake. And now, my pretty brace of fellows, soon you'll swing upon the gallows like a pair of silly geese, silly geese, like a pair of silly geese, silly geese. Then you'll see me dancing, dancing and for joy be madly and for joy be madly singing. Now at last we'll have some peace. Now at last we'll have some peace. Now, my pretty brace of fellows, soon you'll swing upon the gallows like a pair of silly geese, silly geese, silly geese, like a pair of silly geese, like a pair of silly, 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 silly geese, like a pair of silly geese, like a pair of silly geese, silly geese, silly geese, like a pair of silly geese, like a pair of silly, 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 silly geese, like a pair of silly geese, like a pair of silly geese, like a pair of silly geese, silly geese, silly geese.
We've been listening to the music of Mozart, arias from Marriage of Figaro, Magic Flute, Zaid and Don Giovanni. And these were sung by Owen Brannigan on the bass with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra conducted by Walter Susskind. And that's the care of Mr. F. Thank you very much. Great to hear. Nice to hear Mr. Brannigan. He was sort of more renowned as a Britain interpreter, but great to hear him singing Mozart. Bit of a Mozart program of test material tonight. Well, I think I might change tack completely. I just have this niggling inspiration to hear Ravel's Gaspard de la Nuit. I just want to hear it again. It's a work that I really like. And for some reason, I don't know why. I don't know if it really fits in. There's so many themes here to flesh out. I'd like to explore some of the orchestral realizations of this work as well. But it's a work written for solo piano, and it's actually based on poems, or a poem, or extended 3 poems by Aloysius Bertrand, and was written by Ravel in 1908. But it's a profoundly programmatic, atmospheric work, and Gaspard is sort of he's probably the devil because they're pretty dark themes. And so Gaspard of the Night, the messenger of the night, or treasurer of the night, it says here. But I'm going to just give you a little bit of background without getting too, without saying too much. We don't want to make these too informative. But I can say that the 3 movements, the first one's Ondine, and it says it's written in C-sharp major, based on the poem Ondine, and it's all about the water nymph. Undine singing to seduce the observer into visiting her kingdom deep at the bottom of a lake. And says it is reminiscent of Ravel's earlier piece, blah, blah, blah. And yes, it features the sound of water falling and flowing woven with cascades. So you may want to think of the nymph Undine when you hear that first movement. Second movement is really dark. Le Gibet, written in E-flat minor and based on the poem Le Gibet, the observer is presented with a view of the desert where the lone corpse of a hanged man on a gibbet stands out against the horizon, reddened by the setting sun. Meanwhile, a bell tolls from inside the walls of a far-off city, creating the deathly atmosphere that surrounds the observer. Throughout the entire piece is a B-flat octave ostinato imitating the tolling bell that must remain distinctive and constant in tone as the notes cross over and dynamics change. Yeah, it's an incredibly difficult piece to play. So that's Le Gibet, that's the second movement. And the third movement, Scarbo, and this is the one that's really famous because it's considered to be the hardest piece, one of the hardest pieces written for piano. And it's written in G sharp minor. And the movement depicts nighttime mischief of a small fiend or goblin making pirouettes, flitting in and out of the darkness, disappearing and suddenly reappearing. Its uneven flight hitting and scratching against the walls, casting a growing shadow in the moonlight, creating a nightmarish scene for the observer lying in his bed. I remember as a child seeing the shadows play out against the wall and being similarly terrified. It says, with its repeated notes and two terrifying climaxes, this is the high point in technical difficulty of all the three movements. Technical challenges include repeated notes in both hands and the double note scales and major seconds in the right hand. And what did he say? Ravel reportedly said about Scarbo, I wanted to write an orchestral transcription for the piano. So there we go. Three movements. What we have, just to remind you, we've got Undine, the nymph one, Le Gibet, the hanging man, and Scarbo, the goblins, dancing goblins. And they're all sort of scenes from rather dubious subterranean sources, I think. I think Gaspar was, I think he's a euphemism for the devil, I think. All right, let's continue. Let's have a listen to one of the great recordings of the work. It's a recording by Arturo Benedetti Michelangeli, and it was made in Prague in 1960. It's a live performance. It goes for about 15-20 minutes. vk3sl, testing.
This is a test transmission from vk3sl. This is a test transmission from vk3sl.
Well, there's something truly possessed about the playing and the music. We just heard Michelangelo play Ravel's Gaspar della Nuit, and from a concert in 1960 recorded in Prague. And what did Ravel say about Scarbo? I found a quote here. What did he say? He said, I wanted to make a caricature of romanticism. Then he said, perhaps it got the better of me. Yeah, it's incredible. It's sort of larger than life. Anyhow, that's the mood I'm in, and it fulfilled something, I think. So I think we'll leave it at that tonight. Should be back tomorrow. I think everything is okay. So until soon, we will stand on by. Oh, by the way, there is a streaming service for those who are interested in that sort of thing. If you want to be entertained, of course, you can go to the streaming service, which is my call sign, vk3sl, and as a channel on YouTube. It can be found. There's a blog spot as well, vk3sl.blogspot.com, and what else? There's a email on that as well if you want to make contact. If I'm getting in your way, maybe I am. So it's important you let me know if there are any issues. All right then, we'll leave it at that and should be back soon. vk3sl testing on 160 meters. Cheers for now.